got some positive figures from South Africa's mining sector. Mining production rose by 0.8% year on year in February, the first month since February 2020 in which it has not declined. The report also revealed mineral sales increased by 26% year on year in February, with platinum group metals being the largest contributor. Well, is this a flash in the pan or can it be maintained? Joining me from Cape Town to discuss these figures is the Director of Mining at Mergence Corporate Solutions, Peter Major. Peter, good morning to you, or good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the show.
It's right on the edge of both.
Right on the edge, right? Great stuff. Good to have you. So look, mining output in December was initially reported at 0.1% growth. It was then revised to a contraction of 1.8%. Then another revision, deeper contraction of 2.6%. January's initial output was a 6.2% decline, and then it was now revised to 8.4. So with that precedent, how do we know that this 0.8% figure for February will stick?
Look, you don't. When you're measuring point percentages, you can be off, and it can be nobody's fault. It can be a very small difference, very inordinate way of measuring. But when you're off 2, 3, 4%, then you can have doubts. And we know our statistics department was pretty decimated during the Zuma years. The people they had were more cadres than experienced people. There's a big underfunding problem there. So collecting statistics for the country is a real challenge. And mining. While mining is fairly organized individually on the mines, the DMR, we know, has had so many heads of DMR. And poor Gwede Montosh, he's the latest one. He's probably trying the hardest to fix it. But how do you fix 15 years of cadre deployment and hollowing out? And the corruption and the disorganization and very few senior people that remember how it was done properly. So there's a lot of reasons for these statistics jumping around.
Thank you. So, my second question was going to be, why has the sector been prone to such sharp revision? So I guess that's your answer, right? It's coming
pretty much.
Right. Okay, excellent stuff. All right, my next question for you with regards to the sector. April of 2020, output in the mining sector contracted by about 50%. How soon before you think we can expect to see output return to pre-pandemic levels?
Look, that was the lowest of all. We were on almost total shutdown. That's when the virus lockdown first became. Now, if that was the only problem in South African mining, we could have regained full production sooner, probably by November, December. But that's not the only problem in South Africa. This COVID virus will end someday. But the other viruses has affected mining. A lot of the illegal mining, a lot of the union established mining workings,
yeah.
a lot of the DMR, a lot of the Eskom problems, a lot of the Transnet problems. Those viruses are going to be here for years and years. And so it's very hard for mining to get back to where it was with those other 4 or 5 viruses uncontrolled.
Very, very starkly and honestly put, Peter. I want to ask you about output. Output might be struggling, but sales look to be doing well. Mineral sales in February rose about 27%. Is that a result of demand from outside the country? What's been pushing the double-digit sales?
Look, it's definitely a result of prices, and we know booming prices are related to demand. So anyone who's an atheist has had second thoughts these last 12 months, because since the virus, prices have just flown. Demand has been strong, and production's been a bit down, so that's translated into incredible prices on virtually all our commodities, especially the PGMs, especially the iron ore. And it just doesn't seem to be backing up. So people I know that are total atheists have gotten religion from this. Fantastic prices have more than made up for the fall in production. May they long last.
Amen to that. The atheists of the mining sector are now believers. Peter, you mentioned the unions, and I'm glad you did, because that's what I'm about to get to right now. What's the latest in the wage negotiations between South Africa's National Union of Mine Workers and mining companies? It's been reported that they're seeking a hike of at least 15% for entry-level, that's in salaries or wages, for entry-level workers. How's that working out?
Look, right now it's quiet and it's pretty controlled. And all the wage negotiations we've had the last 12 to 15 months have been very civil, very proper. But these high prices are stimulating movements in the union to try and get better. And a 15% jump in your basic wage, it's totally unreasonable because inflation's not even been 4 or 5%. In the gold sector, the gold price has returned to not much higher than it was a year and a half ago. And the gold industry is still under tremendous pressure. So you can't just hand out 15% for people starting out, no skills, no experience, very little to offer, when your inflation rate is barely 4%, because you will break a fragile gold industry even more than it's already broken. And we've already lost 80% of our gold industry in the last 15 years. Sure, the platinum industry can handle it, but if they start giving away triple-digit increases like they did through the early millennium, they will be on the bones like they were just a few years ago as well. So it's going to be reasonable negotiations. Hopefully it's not bloody. Hopefully it's not messy, because both sides lose when that happens.
And Peter, what if the reverse was the situation? How would mining companies be able to call the union workers and say, hey, prices have been falling and we want to renegotiate in the other direction? Is that realistic? Could that ever happen?
It's not realistic, and unfortunately it should be, because if you had that realistic two-way, you would have a strong industry that would go on forever. And that's what this country should want, because it needs mining more than ever. If you're realistic on both sides and you can negotiate both ways based on prices, you have a strong labor force, industry, and culture. And that's what we should be aiming for here. We're not close yet, but that's what we should both be aiming for.
All right, you just said that mining is still very integral to the South African economy. What about, so that means that there's no conversations about diversifying to renewable energy and so on. The mining sector is still incredibly important?
It's more important than ever. There are conversations about diversifying. The problem is that's as far as it's ever gotten in 15 years. It's conversation after conversation after conversation. There's no real action. There's a little bit of legislative movement, but it's puny. It's not enough to make a dent. People need serious positive legislation movement before they're going to start translating that into action. So yes, we need mining more than ever, because there has been no diversification into anything else. If anything, we have annihilated our manufacturing industry, and we've really hurt our agriculture and tourism industry.
Gosh.
We need mining more than ever.
All right. Duly noted. So what do you think is there political will to flesh out these reforms that you're saying, the different sector from manufacturing to agriculture to mining and so on? Is the will there, with Ramaphosa to get that pushed through?
We don't know, but the whole country is watching and waiting with bated breath. We are praying there is the political will to do that, because it's needed now more than ever. And the ship, it's like a 20-story ship, and 19 stories are underwater. There's only one story above, and that's the bridge. So now is the time to have the political will followed by action to make this happen. It is really close. And these temporary high prices should not be banked on to save us from our own inaction, stupidity, and other negative traits.
Again, very, very honest, Peter. How about foreign direct investment? Are you seeing any investment heading your way in the mining sector?
We're not, unfortunately. We're not even seeing enough local reinvestment. And the directors have made clear why to the government. And they want to. Their shareholders want to. The directors want to more than even the shareholders. But they can't do it. They can't get board approval without a co on the other side showing them that their investments will be honored and protected and will yield into a return. Because it's not an investment if it doesn't give a return. It's a waste. And we've had too much waste.
Gotcha. Great conversation. Peter Major, Director of Mining at Mergence Corporate Solutions. Thank you so much for a very in-depth and honest discussion about South Africa's mining sector and what needs to be done.
Thank you for your time.
Great stuff, Peter.